By the time I pulled into the parking lot, I had already rehearsed the evening in my head. Not conversations, those were always unpredictable, but posture, tone, the careful emotional neutrality family gatherings tend to require when you've long occupied a specific role. Every family assigns one. Mine had assigned me early. The reunion was held in a rented hall that tried very hard to feel celebratory. Plastic banners, folding tables, the low roar of overlapping voices bouncing off walls designed for acoustics, not intimacy. I paused at the entrance longer than necessary. Not from hesitation. From recognition. Certain environments have muscle memory. As soon as I stepped inside, my aunt's voice cut cleanly through the noise. "Well, look who decided to show up." Heads turned with that familiar blend of curiosity and mild anticipation. She laughed, not warmly, but theatrically. "Hay cleans toilets for a living," she announced, as though delivering an anecdote everyone would appreciate. A few chuckles scattered politely around the room. "Can't believe he even showed up." The laughter wasn't cruel in volume. Cruelty rarely is. It was casual, reflexive, socially approved. I nodded lightly, the way you do when acknowledging something too tired to contest. There's a particular exhaustion that comes from correcting narratives people prefer. Years ago, during medical school, I'd worked nights in custodial services. Tuition had required creativity. Pride had required flexibility. The job stayed. In family mythology, details tend to fossilize. Context rarely survives. Inside, nothing else visibly shifted. Conversations resumed. Music hummed faintly from unseen speakers. My aunt leaned back, satisfied in the subtle way people are when their joke lands without resistance. Across the room, my cousin approached with her fiancé, a man I had never met. Introductions carry their own choreography. "This is Daniel," she said. He extended his hand with polite ease. Firm grip, direct eye contact, normal, unburdened. For a moment, we were simply two adults meeting without inherited assumptions. Then his expression changed. Not dramatically, but unmistakably, a small freeze behind the eyes. The kind triggered not by emotion, but recognition, too. His gaze flickered between my face and something assembling in memory. "Sorry," he said slowly. His hand remained suspended in mine a fraction longer than socially comfortable. He pulled back slightly, already reaching for his phone. I watched the screen illuminate, his thumb moving with increasing urgency. The room continued breathing around us, unaware of the subtle shift forming at its center. Then he looked up, really looked. "Wait." The word barely carried sound. "You're Dr. Reyes." 2. Silence does not fall all at once. It spreads. Conversations fragment mid-sentence. Laughter dissolves into air. Attention reorganizes. My aunt's smile remained in place half a second too long before uncertainty replaced it. My cousin blinked. "What?" Her fiancé turned the phone toward her, then toward the space between us, a professional profile, institutional website, publication listing, credentials presented not as boast but fact, objective, externally verified. "Oh my God," someone murmured. The phrase moved through the room like a ripple through still water. I felt dozens of small recalculations happening simultaneously, memory rewriting itself in real time, past remarks silently revisited, social positioning adjusting with mechanical efficiency. My aunt spoke first. The confidence had thinned. "Well, why didn't you ever say anything?" The question arrived almost accusatory, as though omission were the offense. I considered it, not defensively, just honestly. "You never asked." No one laughed, not this time. Across the room, expressions shifted into something far more uncomfortable than embarrassment. Awareness. Recognition does not simply elevate, it exposes. The cruelty of earlier assumptions now stood awkwardly visible, stripped of their protective framing as humor. Relatives who had barely acknowledged me minutes earlier approached with sudden warmth. Voices softened. Postures changed. Names remembered. It was fascinating in a detached, almost academic way, dignity redistributed not by character, but by perceived status. Respect recalibrated through hierarchy. Through it all, I remained oddly calm. not vindicated, not triumphant, mostly distant, because beneath the surface awkwardness lay something harder to ignore. Nothing fundamental had changed. Only information. Only visibility. Only the perceived value of the person standing in the same place he had always stood. Later, seated alone with a paper cup of lukewarm coffee, my cousin's fiancé joined me. "I genuinely had no idea," he said. "I know, does it bother you?" I watched relatives across the hall, navigating their revised politeness with varying degrees of success. Not anymore. The answer surprised even me with its ease. Because the silence that had filled the room earlier hadn't felt like victory, it had felt like confirmation of something I had understood long ago. Prejudice isn't always loud. Sometimes it smiles, laughs, tells jokes, until reality, indifferent and unsentimental, quietly rearranges the script.